So you're thinking about jumping into this Foxbody community. You're thinking about modding a Foxbody and you want to know some key tips of what you need to know in doing it. Well, today is your day because I'm going to give you the top 10 things that I have learned about modding a Foxbody the built versus bought way. Stay tuned. All right, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy Kendall Sean with the world famous built versus bought. So I have deemed myself the Foxbody advocate, and even though this is not a Foxbody only channel, the core of this channel will always be Foxbodies because that's where I started, which is why you see me wearing the famous shirt that I have. Foxbody is greater than everybody. Foxbody is over everybody, etc. But yeah, on today, if you're thinking about jumping into the modding of a Foxbody, I'm going to give you some tips on what you should know before you get into it. Now, I just want to help you all out. This is not a budget build situation, nor is this a high-end build. This is for you all that are in that middle range. So I'm not about to tell you how you could spend $5,000 to get 500 horsepower on your Foxbody. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. I'm not going to tell you how to spend $200,000, $300,000 to have an award-winning Foxbody. No, I am going to talk about some things that I have learned as it relates to having a Foxbody, the pros and cons, and the mistakes that I have made over the years. I want to make this clear. None of this is in any particular order, so I'm not saying this is the best or this is the worst, but let's just go ahead and get to it. Number one, I'm going to say make a budget, multiply it times 2 at minimum.
What?
Now, you're probably thinking that I'm crazy for saying that, but everybody that I know that's ever set a budget has never came under. They always go over. And so if your budget is 30, and I say multiply that times 2 and it's 60, it'll just help you with the stress of modding a Foxbody. If you just start with a budget first, and that'll help you a lot. And trust you me, multiply it times 1.5, whatever. But don't take your start number and think that's going to be it, because things will happen and you may need a little bit more money. Number 2, know what you want to do in advance. One of the biggest mistakes I made was I knew what I wanted to do, but then I kept upgrading. Then I kept upgrading, and then I kept upgrading. I want to change this, and this new part came out. Now I want to do this. And it took me down a rabbit hole. Whereas a lot of times, if I just would have just sat back and not got too excited about building a Foxbody, I could have known what parts to get, did a little bit more research, and said, hey, all I want to do is get to this level of horsepower with this level of build, and I would have been more happy and had more peace throughout the process. Let me tell you something. Building a Foxbody can be stressful and not fun. And so I'm just trying to offer you up some advice beforehand. The next one I'm going to say is, now when you're starting to look for one, make sure you got a Foxbody that's a good base, that has a good foundation. And what that means is that there's certain things you got to look for. Like, you got to make sure that, the chassis is in a good space. You got to make sure that because people have cut these cars up over the years, and if you don't know them that well, somebody can get over on you. And so, man, make sure you're checking for certain things, make sure you're checking for rust in certain areas, like make sure, even as it relates to the body of the car, this is with any car when a car has a whole lot of Bondo and things of that nature, but make sure that you're dealing with a solid foundation and looking at the cracks and crevices of these cars, because I'm telling you, it can get real tricky. Especially if you're buying rollers and things of that nature, they are a little bit easier to see. But when you have something that has a motor in it, stuff can get a little tricky. So you want to make sure you get under that car, make sure that it's good, look in the engine bay, check for rust quarter panels, just look at everything to make sure that you have a firm foundation. Another thing is, if that car don't have subframe connectors, you need to put some on. Because what happens is a lot of people will want to put all this power to Fox bodies, and you all know they don't have a chassis. It's just the body of the car. Please make sure you have subframe connectors. Like those things are mandatory. Like don't even start on nothing until those get on there, because a lot of times your fuel lines and things have to be ran along along that area. Don't do it afterwards, because now you're gonna have to take a whole bunch of stuff off. Like just start clean, put some subframe connectors. But then this is also gonna lead me to my next point. Suspension. I know you trying to put that Coyote in there with all that power, but it means nothing if you are still running on some stock. Like if you're still running on stock control arms, upper and lower, with stock springs, and you want to make 800 horsepower, let me give you a public service announcement. You're going to crash the first time you press the gas. Foxbodies need suspension like a fish needs water. And the more suspension upgrades that you put on it, the stronger that base is, the better that car is going to handle. You got to understand, Foxbodies weren't made to handle like these newer Mustangs do. And so you got to make sure that you got some suspension on there. As much money as you put into that supercharger or that turbo, put just as much money into that suspension. And that could be your choice, whether you want to do a cage, stuff like that. You know, there's pros and cons to all of that. Some people want to be able to get in their car, but please make sure you invest in that suspension. Now that you got the suspension in, now you got to think about that rear end. Please don't think that you are going to use that stock rear end with that 4-lug on there, thinking that you're going to just be okay. You put 800 horsepower to that first pull is that rear end is out. You might as well just call it a day. That rear end is just as important as that supercharger. Make sure, along with the suspension, that you are building that rear end. Whether that means you want to put 31 spline axles, 373 gear, 410 gear, whatever, depending on what trans setup you go with, and we'll talk about that next as well. But please make sure that rear end is up to point, because man, you'll have a bad day tearing out a rear end. Another thing I want to throw in there, this is kind of a bonus, but like torque boxes. Like the torque boxes are so important. I've seen a lot of guys take out those torque boxes and put in new ones. Like you all please make sure that you take care of that. That's kind of like the thing that should have went in suspension as well, to an extent, but it's still a part of the body. Make sure you check those out. Now, if you're going over 400 horsepower, stock brakes on a Foxbody ain't it. Please don't try to use stock brakes. The more power you go, the bigger that rotor needs to be, the bigger that caliper needs to be. Like, please do not go cheap on brakes and big on power. Stopping is probably more important than going fast. Make sure, especially in these cars, the brakes that we had that came with these cars, they're nothing. They good for that 220 horsepower that you got stock, but they are horrible for what it is that you're trying to do with building it. Make sure you get those brakes. Now, we are in the Coyote swap era since 2014 when that motor came out. And then I would say around 2016 and up, man, the Coyote swap craze has gone bananas. And as great as it is, let's not get it twisted. The push rod motors still are very distinctive inside of a Foxbody. Your 347s, your 393, your stroker motors, all of that, still amazing. And I'm going to be honest with you, like nothing sounds better than a push rod, like straight up like 302 or 351, whatever you got it stroked out to. But having that one cam in there, I mean, some of the best sounding cars are just regular like non-mod motors. But then, and they don't cost as much neither, but the mod motor setup is the modern day setup, and there's more reliability. There's just more pros to it, but it's also more cost. So take into consideration what you want your engine setup to be. And then if you're going to put power and stuff to it, you got to take all of that into consideration. All right, the next point, all that power and a T5, that ain't gonna be it, especially a stock one. And even if you build one, that's cool, but you may want to start considering, what you want to do. Obviously the TKOs, the T56 Magnum is what I've had for the longest, and it's been great for the setup that I have. If you even want to do that, you may go Coyote Swap and do a 10R80 or a 6R80 if you want to do automatics or whatever. Or depending on, you may go drag setup and you may be, 1, 2, 3. Like, this all depends, but make sure your transmission is in alignment with the power, because let me tell you something. That clutch, if you get you a clutch that's rated at 500, you throw 700 to it, you're going to see a clutch gone in a year. You want to make sure that whichever route, whether it's manual, automatic, you got the transmission that goes along with it, because transmissions matter. My next point is fuel system upgrades. I've probably had to do that about 3 times. My lines that I originally had, I think I had a 8 feed and a 6 return. Then I had to go to a 10 feed, a 8 return. Then I decided to go E85 and had to change all of that. Please no. I've been through 3 different fuel pump setups because of several reasons. Like, I'm not big. This is technically another point, but like, if you're going to buy used parts, make sure you know what you're getting. Electrical stuff I kind of stay away from, just because that'll be everything that'll shut your car down. Suspension stuff, maybe. But just make sure you know what you're getting. But that fuel scenario is very, very key. Know what you want to do, because I started with 93, then went to E85. Then I had to put a flex fuel sensor. I started with a Ron Francis wiring kit, then went over to a Holly. Like, kind of know this stuff, but fuel is key, because you don't want to keep taking lines on and off and changing this. It can get very expensive and very time consuming. And then I think I'm gonna make this one my last point, because I kind of talked to you about money as it relates to it, but more importantly than money, your safety. This is why I talked about suspension, like kind of in the beginning of the video, and I'm going to kind of end with this as well. You want to take your suspension and make sure that it's in place, but if you gotta go super fast, roll cages, if you're going to the track, things of that nature, the right seatbelt harnesses, like, man, don't be out here with no seatbelt. Don't be out here, with certain things just not there. Don't, like, safety, man. Having brakes, having emergency brake, all that safety stuff is very, very, very key, because listen to me, those cars can get out of control real fast, and they weigh 2,900 to 3,200 pounds. And when you put real power to it, you better know how to drive. And that's another point. Make sure you know how to drive. And what I mean by that, if you ain't never handled that level of power, I've never had that level of power, slowly and gradually build yourself up to handle that. Because we don't want you to die because you got 600 horsepower in a Foxbody and it was your first time and you stepped on the gas and you ended up in the pole. We don't want that to be you. So, hey, those are my tips from your boy Kenneth Sean, the built versus bought way. And some of this stuff is maybe out there before, but I'm just giving it to you from these are my personal experiences with building it. And I just wanted to, like, share those with you all. But drop some comments below. Let me know what you all think about the tips. But then also, what are some of your tips as well? Because some of you all are better than me at building this stuff. I'm not the greatest person at doing this, but hey, some of you all are better than me. What is some of your tips that you would give this audience as it relates to building a Foxbody? And hey, let's just keep this community going and keep making Foxbodies be what they are, which is, in my opinion, this is the new 69 Camaro. This is the car that everybody wants to go after. It is the Ford Foxbody. It's your boy Kenneth Sean, built versus bought. I am out.